In this video, I'm going to be going over exactly how I went from a broke loser all the way to 31 years old, seven-figure business, wife, and two beautiful daughters. I turned 31 years old yesterday, and there's been a lot on my mind. I've been doing a lot of self-reflecting lately over the last 30 years of my life. And in fact, I've been doing self-reflection my whole life. I've always been looking at what I've been doing and what I want in life, and I knew from a very young age what I wanted in life. Just out of high school, I knew that I wanted a family. I knew that I wanted a wife. I knew that I wanted to be an entrepreneur, and I just needed to be able to find the path to get there. The thing is, though, right now, being a man is very difficult because, not just because there's like these blue pill movements and red pill movements, you have like the feminists, you have the woke people, you have the right wing. There's so much garbage out there, and it's becoming harder and harder to be a man and to figure out your path as a man. But if we are being honest with ourselves, most men, they are going to find happiness, and most men from a very young age, if you ask them what they want in life, they'll all tell you the exact same thing. They want a family, they want a big house, they want a nice job. They will all tell you the exact same thing. They want to be some sort of hero in their house, in their life. You'll often hear children, young, 5 years old, 6 years old, even 3 years old. What do you want to be in life? They'll answer the exact same thing. They'll always say, I want to be a firefighter. I want to be a policeman. I want to be something like that. They want to be a hero in their own lives. And so I knew from a very young age what I wanted to do. And whenever I did anything in my life, even from a young age, I always thought about, I'm doing all of this work for my future family, for my future wife, for my future children. And now as an adult, now that I have a wife and kids, it's what I do. I do everything in my life for my wife and children. The thing is, the saddest reality, this is the reality for most men. This is exactly what most men want. But unfortunately, society at large has muddied the water and made it seem like men want something else in life. Instead of having a wife, it's applauded that to have a lot of women in your life. It is, instead of having children, it is applauded that you have flexibility in your life, that you have freedom in your life from children. Instead of having a business and a high-paying job, people tell you that it has to be easy for you. It has to be easy. And I knew that this was all bullshit from a very young age. So I decided that I'm just going to put my head down and work. And to give you a little bit of backstory, I was never successful in life. I wasn't meant for success in life, is what I mean. In high school, I was an absolute failure, just failed pretty much everything, almost failed pretty much everything. I ended up passing high school with barely anything. I ended up almost being expelled for the amount of absences that I've had. My mom sat down in front of the principal, and the principal told her that I had 150 absences and that if I missed one more class, I would be expelled. And my Spanish teacher, she actually ended up failing me with 19% at the end of the year, 19%. And what I did was I went to my Spanish teacher and I was like, hey, I'm not going to be able to pass high school if you don't pass me. And she said, hey, if you make me a piñata, then I'll pass you. And I made a piñata, a shitty piñata. I ended up popping the balloon. It was just like newspapers, and it just ended up crumbling. I handed her the next day, and she laughed, and she said, oh, I'll pass you just because you're funny. So that was basically the extent of my high school. So out of high school, I was meant to fail. I was smoking pot. I was drinking a lot. I was partying. I was hanging out with losers. And I was meant to fail. It was like guaranteed that I was supposed to fail in life. But I was able to turn around my life. And I did this through a lot of work, a lot of self-reflection and work from a very young age. I've been working on this for like 10 years. And finally, I've built my business to 7 figures. I have 2 children. I have 2 daughters, 2 beautiful daughters, and I have a wife. And I want to help you understand what it's going to take to get there as well. And everybody always thinks that it's some weird trick. And in this video, I'm going to tell you exactly what it took to get there. But it's not going to be like, oh, do my dropshipping course. I'm going to give you $1,000 a day, or I'm going to teach you how to get $1,000 a day. None of that bullshit, right? I'm going to give you the hard truths that is so hard to accept for some people. What it takes to be successful. And you might look around and be like, hey, I know successful people that aren't doing those things. Are they successful really? Are they successful? What it defines success, right? Because I know real estate agents who were successful, who were very successful when the real estate market was booming. And then now, when the real estate market pulled back, they had to quit their jobs. They had to go find different ways to make money because they were losers. They were bad at getting clients in real estate. They barely could even, they couldn't sell. They couldn't sell themselves. They were drinking. They were smoking weed. And so, obviously, these people were not meant for success because they didn't work on their success. They just got lucky. And that's why success is more about sharpening your axe than it is about swinging the axe on the tree. And everybody's heard the quote from Abraham Lincoln. If you gave me 6 minutes to chop down a tree, I would spend the first 4 minutes sharpening my axe. Everybody's heard that. So that's the way that you should look at your life. You should be looking at your life like if you have to spend more time with self-development and developing your skills as opposed to just looking for the next quick thing that's going to be the easy way to get girls or the easy way to get money. So many people are going online, oh, how do I do pickup, right? They look it up online and it's like, oh, you have to say like these special lines and you have to do all these things. The girls will approach you, the women will approach you if you are a man that is meant to be approached. They start looking online, oh, how do I make more money? Oh, it's a drop shipping course that I have to do or some shit like that, right? Oh, it's this special, like, I don't know, some bullshit money-making scheme, right? And it's not about that. Like, sure, you might get lucky, but your success, as soon as more successful people flood the market, your job is gone. So you have to focus on sharpening your axe. It's not about what the next trick. Like I said, I knew from a very young age that I wanted to have all of these things in my life, but I went down the wrong route. What I did was I ended up starting selling weed just out of high school, and so I became a drug dealer, essentially. And I thought that this was the best method to getting money because it just looked so easy. And it wasn't until I saw my friend get punched in the face and robbed that I decided that I can't do this. I can't do this. This is not the legit way of doing things. And then I went and opened my personal training business. This was at the ripe age of like 21. And I actually did really well at the beginning. I got really lucky as a personal trainer. I had some family friends of mine who decided to work with me, and then they told their friends, and then I ended up getting quite a bit of clients just through my family alone. But things were moving extremely slow, and it was because I had terrible habits. I was smoking a lot of weed, I was partying, going to raves and doing drugs, and I was sleeping with a lot of girls and in and out of relationships that I didn't really care about. And these habits bled into my business as well because I would be hungover and I would end up like not being able to work the next day, and I would feel like crap the entire week, and it would be hard to get out of bed. It would be hard for me to actually do my work. There were so many things that came from just being a piece of shit that I wasn't able to be successful in the business that I was actually trying really hard in. Because if you constantly let the devil in your life, you will be given poor outcomes. And this means that if you are constantly, for example, if you're spending your time and letting the devil in through, let's say, girls, right? That you're always looking for the next piece of ass, then you will never be able to find a wife because a wife is not looking for a guy who does that. Visualize the direction that you want to go in your life, right? You have the family, the business, you have, somebody who is making 7 figures, has kids and a wife. You have to have a good wife. You have to be doing things that attract a good wife. If you want to have a good business, you have to be attracting good employees. You have to be attracting good clients by being that person, that type of person who attracts those people. Now visualize somebody who wants to become a loser drug addict. Nobody wants to become a loser drug addict, but it just happens, right? So picture a loser drug addict. Somebody, everybody has that image in their mind of some guy they knew in high school who just ended up being a failure. Right now, right, you're not going into the loser drug addict addiction, a drug addict loser guy, right? But you're not quite going in the direction of the family man business owner guy either. What's happening is because you're taking a little bit of this and a little bit of that, you're going right down the middle. And this is where most people end up going. They're going down the path of down the middle of the loser, like from the loser, and also the successful businessman that they want to be. And that's where I was headed as well. It's not that I was going to be a complete loser on the street, but I wasn't going to be a family man, business owner, like successful guy, right? And I like I said, I don't want to toot my own horn. I don't think I'm successful. I'm a long way from where I want to be. But I do feel like I have some sort of life experience to be able to share with you what it took to get here from being a complete loser. So once I came to this realization that I'm not going to end up on the street, but I'm not going to end up being the guy that I wanted, I actually just went all in on being that guy that I wanted. And it came down to just mainly three things that completely changed my life. Number one, I quit drinking and doing drugs, going to raves and partying and all that stupid shit. I quit doing that. It was probably like one of the biggest wake-up calls to me because it completely changed my life. It changed who I was hanging out with, where I found my friends, all that stuff. And then number two is I started sleeping properly. I actually ended up focusing on the quality of sleep. I was focusing a lot on making sure I get a good amount of sleep as well. And I know it's like, wait, what does this have to do with making money? It has a lot to do with making money. People who sleep well and focus on the right things in life do really well. And number three, I let go of all my loser friends. All of them. Every single one of them. And this is probably the most important part that people neglect. I don't hang out with anybody anymore from my past life. I barely even talk to them. In fact, I don't really talk to them at all. There's some people who message me every once in a while to see how I am, and those people are the good people. Most of them didn't really care about me. All they cared about was somebody to be able to do drugs with, somebody to be able to drink with, somebody to be able to go to parties with. And they didn't really care about me. And once I started finding success in my life, they just ditched me. They're like, screw this guy. On to the next one. So they didn't care about me. And to be completely honest, I didn't really care about them. As soon as I started improving my life, I stopped caring about them as well. When I look back on my life, I can attribute 99% of my success on just those three things and getting rid of shitty habits in general, shitty friends, all that stuff. It's not about what book I read. It's not about what course I took or anything like that. It was just those three things. And if I could go back and start doing those three things immediately, like right from out of high school, I would be a multimillionaire by now. I guarantee it. And that's how much it has to do with your success. Because if you're doing all those three things, you're not going to be able to attract success. It's just the fact of life. And so in this video, I'm going to tell you exactly how I do these three things and how you can implement it in your life as well. One of the best things I did to improve my sleep was getting this Oura ring. This Oura ring basically tracks sleep metrics. It tracks your REM sleep, it tracks your deep sleep, it tracks how much sleep you get, and it gives you suggestions on what you should work on. And this Oura ring, I got it about like 3 or 4 years ago, and it completely changed my outlook on my energy and just my sleep in general. And so I highly suggest you get the Oura ring specifically. Not some smartwatch or anything like that, because you don't want anything buzzing on your wrist. Just an Oura ring is simple, and it will give you exactly what you need. And it was one of the things that really led me to realizing that I have to quit drinking, because you don't input the fact that you drank into your Oura ring. It just knows. It just knows because it can see on your stats that something is up. And this comes from even just drinking 1 or 2 beers. That's how much it affects you. And I guarantee you, if you get an Oura ring, you will cut down your alcohol consumption significantly. But I don't suggest that you cut down your alcohol consumption. I don't suggest that you cut it down. I suggest that you completely get rid of your alcohol consumption. Go all the way to 0. And one of the best ways for you to do this is for you to get rid of your friends, which all of this stuff kind of ties into each other. That booze ties into your sleep, it ties into your friends, the friends tie into the booze and the sleep as well. It all ties into each other. And that's why these 3 things are so important, because it's all just an interactive web. They all work together. And once you quit drinking alcohol, once you quit hanging out with losers, once you start tracking your sleep and improving your energy and just your sleep in general, you begin to have so much time, and you begin to have this insane amount of boredom, because you used to fill your mind and your time with stupid shit. But now, once you open up all this time because you're not drinking, you're not hanging out with losers, and you're sleeping well, all of a sudden, now you have to fill that void with something. And what I suggest is that you fill that void with work. Start doing stuff. Join jiu-jitsu. Join kickboxing. Start working out. Start a business. There's so many things that you can fill that void, and all of those things are going to improve your life. And that void that it creates is oftentimes the thing that makes it so hard for people to stay on top of quitting their addictions and letting go of their loser friends, because it's a very lonely road. And you have to, in order for you to be successful, you have to respect that loneliness and that void. And that's totally fine. One of my clients, she said that she was inspired by the way that I, deleted all my apps on my phones, and I don't have any like YouTube or any distracting apps like Instagram or any of that shit on my phone. And so she decided to do that. She decided to remove her distracting apps on her phone as well. And what ended up happening was she went maybe like 6 hours without it, and then she came back home. She's like, oh, I feel so good. Lay down on the couch to relax, and then she downloaded the app again because she was sitting there trying to relax, and she's like, what am I supposed to do with, what am I supposed to do? And then she ended up downloading the app again. Well, I mean, it was so close, right? But then that void made her re-download the app. You have to fill that void with something else. And what I told her was that void could have been filled with a nap. A nap could have been more worthy of your time than downloading Instagram again. Because you came home and you wanted to relax. What you needed was a nap. Soon after you start focusing on, doing jiu-jitsu, going to the gym, you're going to find more people who are in line with your same vision in life. Over time, you're going to start filling that void of that friendship with people who actually deserve your friendship. The hardest part about ditching friendships is that they're going to continue contacting you. And they're going to make you go back to your same destructive behaviors again. And it's not because they're evil people. It's usually because they lack ambition, they're insecure, or there's a fear of change. They don't want you to leave them. But it's just like the crab in the bucket mentality. If you drop a bunch of crabs in a bucket of water, when one crab goes to get out, the other crabs pull it down. All these friends that you currently have in your life are just NPCs, and that's the way to look at it. Unfortunately, that's the way to look at it. And you are once an NPC with those people, and as soon as you stop being an NPC, they try to pull you back. But it's crazy looking back at my old friends group and my old life. 90% of them are still doing the same shit with the same people. And just to give you some perspective, the last 5 years, I opened business. I grew that business to seven figures, 100K months. I got married and I have 2 kids, all during the pandemic. And they still have the same jobs, making the same amount of money. They still have the same friends, going to the same clubs. But now they're just a little bit older and they look shittier. And that means if I was still hanging out with them, I would be still doing the same shit. And that scares me so much. That fear of like, wow, I could have been there. I was just a couple of friends away from being in that exact same spot with all that pain that I was feeling, that you're feeling right now as well. And all it takes is for you to do these 3 things. 3 things in order for you to improve your life. Start sleeping well. Quit drinking and substance use, all vapes and all that shit. And make sure that you're ditching your friendships that aren't serving you. And you'll be doing a favor for yourself and for them as well. But anyway, that's all I have for this video. Hopefully you like this style of video. If you did, leave it a like, subscribe to the channel. I'll be making more videos like this if you like them. And I will see you in the next one.